Hey everyone, thank you for joining us all for tonight's Friends and Family Zoom webinar. Tonight's topic is Money Matters, and we are joined with representatives from the Office of Financial Aid, our Bursar's office, and then we have a representative from Enrollment Management who will take an opportunity to speak to you all about the current status of our university. So welcome. My name is Jen McGee. I am the Orientation Program Assistant for Family Programs here at UMass Boston. I am going into my senior year and I am double majoring in social psychology and communication. And today we are joined with some of our orientation leaders who are going to help answer some questions along the way. So I'm going to give them a quick opportunity to introduce themselves. So go ahead.
Mabuhay everyone, my name is Shanara Bargan. I'm a third-year management student from Norton, Massachusetts. I use the she series pronouns, and on campus I am involved as the photo editor for our independent student newspaper, The Mass Media. Welcome to the session.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Divya Madhavaya. I'm a second-year biochemistry student from Drake, Massachusetts. I use she, her pronouns, and when I'm off campus, I work as a swim coach. I'm so glad to see everyone here today, and it's going to be a great presentation.
Hello everyone. My name is Tashani Gaines. I use she, her pronouns. I am a rising sophomore in the major biology pre-med. I live in the Dorchester, Massachusetts area, and my involvement on campus is I am on the Broke Pride Broke Step team.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Gilmathan Dovaya, he, him pronouns. I am an early education major and a rising junior from Chelsea, Mass. And I also work for the Chelsea Public School System as an IT there, which is about 5 minutes away from UMB.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alyssa Charbel. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm a rising junior majoring in criminal justice and criminology.
Oh, hops at everyone. My name is Macy Heitinen. I am a junior nursing student on a pre-med track. I'm from Westminster, Massachusetts. I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I'm currently the lead peer mentor for the College of Nursing and Health Sciences First Year Scholars Program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yasmin Hamdi. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm a rising sophomore from Everett, Massachusetts, majoring in management with a concentration of marketing, and I'm involved with Beacon Voyages for Service.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Leon McFarlane. I am a criminal justice major. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm from Malden, Mass. Through Jamaica. I grew up there. Hope you have a good session.
Welcome everybody, my name is Carolina Ramirez. I am a rising sophomore and I use she, her, her pronouns. My involvement on campus is I'm part of the Pre-Dental Society and I'm also a bio major for the pre-med track.
Hola a todos, my name is Jaylee Pereira. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a rising senior biology pre-med major and Asian American Studies minor. I'm from Westport, Massachusetts, and I'm on campus as the undergraduate student government vice president.
Thank you, OLs, for introducing yourself. And now, before we pass the Zoom call off to John Drew from Enrollment Management, I just want to let you all know of a cool feature that Zoom webinar offers. It's called the Q&A feature, so you can submit any question you have throughout the entire webinar to the Q&A section, and then our OLs will be monitoring it throughout the presentations, and then we will also be reading some questions live to the presenters at the end. So I'm going to now pass this off to John Drew to let you know about the status of the university.
Thank you so much, orientation leaders. I appreciate all of your participation in orientation throughout the summer. Thank you so much for our parents and guests for participating in tonight's program. I hope you stick with the series throughout and gather all the information that our panelists will have to share. I just wanted to take a couple minutes to talk a little bit about the remote plans that we put out around our fall planning decision. So on Thursday, hopefully, you received an email from both our chancellor and some follow-up communications that began to unveil some of our preliminary plans for the fall semester. A couple of things that I want to highlight. This has been under works for many weeks. We had 8 committees that have been meeting pretty consistently for the past 7 or 8 weeks, including staff and faculty and student engagement. And the goal was to come up with a plan that we felt would put our students kind of at the center and think about their health and well-being first and foremost. And so, as many of you probably know, the plan that we launched was to start off the fall semester being primarily with remote as far as the educational opportunities. Some courses will be offered in a face-to-face modality. Those will most likely be lab courses, nursing simulation courses, those that we really do feel are important to have. As I said, at the heart of our decision was making sure that our students are safe on campus. We feel that that's really important. And I know for many of you, it's been interesting as we received feedback. There are some that have expressed relief and are happy that we've made that decision. There's others that are concerned about it and wanted the opportunity to have you know, the full college experience. And we certainly understand that. You know, for myself being away from campus for so long, this has been challenging on all of us. I can't wait to get back there. I actually just went for a walk on the Harbor Walk the other day just to at least feel like I was a little bit closer by. And so I do understand that this comes with very mixed reactions. A couple of reasons why we moved in this direction. We have a very diverse community. We have many students that commute, take public transportation. Many of the communities that our students come from have been hardest hit by COVID-19. And we really felt like it was the most responsible thing at this point, based on the current information available, to plan to be remote and then be able to transition much easier when the health situation allows to be face-to-face again. Our hope is to do that as quickly as possible, and we will take the fall semester as an opportunity to bring services and bring activities and things back to campus as it is safe to do so. The other components that I want you to fully understand is by making this decision now, we allow our faculty the time to make sure that the remote opportunities that they're providing from an educational standpoint are as robust as they possibly can be. Certainly the spring semester and switching in such a quick time frame in March was jarring for everybody. I'm sure the students that you had that were graduating from high school, it was challenging for them as well. We want to make sure that our faculty are doing everything they can to make that experience as robust as it possibly can. There's a difference between remote education and online education. Remote education can still be very similar to an in-person class. It can be engaging, it can have group discussions, it can have faculty-led lectures. It can be synchronous, and so the students are participating in it at the same time that they normally would be sitting in a class. That's not always the same for an online, and so we really do see a distinction between remote and online, and our goal is to simulate as much as possible what a real classroom experience has been, and our faculty have been working very hard and taking parts in training and things to be able to do that. The other thing we announced is the creation of a brand new program called Beacon 2020. And this will be an academic and social experience that all of our incoming first year students will be participating in. More details to come. But it's going to include an opportunity for a common review of a current trending topic. It's going to be a 1-credit course. We're going to be inviting guest speakers in to participate and share information. And it will also have a social life student activities component. Many of our orientation leaders will be helping to keep that continuity from the summer right into the fall semester. So there's a ton of opportunities as far as Beacon 2020 is concerned. 1 or 2 other thoughts. Housing plans are still underway. We know that many want to live on campus. We are still hoping to offer some housing opportunities on our campus. And more details will be coming out around our housing plan. But our hope is to have students living in our wonderful new residence halls, probably less than we typically would, but again, we are working on plans for that, and that information should be out in the next week or 2. And then, as I said, we will continue to phase things in as the situation allows us to throughout the fall semester. So I invite you to check out our website. It has the full preliminary plan. Right now, we are collecting feedback from faculty, staff, students, community. And then the final plan will be revealed within, or put out actually within the next couple of days. And again, it's something that's, will need to be adjusted as we move through the summer and continue to be able to bring activities back to campus. So I hope that provides some information, some context to what our thinking was around our decision. And we certainly look forward to seeing you in the fall.
Thank you for sharing that information with all of our attendees today. We are now going to start our presentation from Money Matters. So I'm going to pass the Zoom call off to Katie Holland from Financial Aid and Shirley Coden from the Bursar's office.
Oops. So I'll start. Hi, good evening. My name is Shirley Condon. I am from the Bursar's office, and like Jen says, I'm here with Katie Holland from Financial Aid, and we're going to present Money Matters. So first of all, we talk about Wiser all the time. At this point, your students should have Wiser. Wiser is the online student self-service center that we use at UMass. This is where they can go online and pretty much handle anything that has to do with their student record. If they need help with their Wiser, whether it be logging in or password, you can check in with the IT. The information is listed on the bottom of the screen. Certainly at this point, you can email them. And when we're back on campus, you could certainly stop by their office. They're in the 3rd floor of the Healy building. So FERPA. FERPA is the Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And what that means is if you were to come into the office, if you emailed us, if you called us and you want information to your student account, we're not able to provide that. And that is in your student's right. So what your student would have to do is actually grant you access to Wiser. So you would have your own login, you would have your own password. Your student would grant you what they want or may not want you to see. I'm sure they want you to be able to see the billing portion of it, but maybe not the grades. And this is something that they can, change or revoke at any time. But please have them, give you access to their Wiser account. So this is a page that we use a lot within the Wiser. It's called the Student Center page. It would list the students' enrollment, the classes, and under the red arrow, if they were to have a hold, if there's things they need to do for certain offices, when time comes for registration, it will tell them when they can register, who their advisor is. It pretty much has everything on this page. The other thing is if you were to click on the Student Financial Center within that yellow circle, it takes you to another page, and this is where you could click on to view your student information for the semester, and then each semester as it happens. You're also able to pay on this page, and also to waive the health insurance. So please familiarize yourself, and have your student familiarize yourself with this page. It is very helpful. So I've been at UMass for 15 years now, and so often I'm looking for an office, or I'm looking for something, and I don't know where to go. This is just the front page, umb.edu. If you go in the site search, type in whatever you're looking for, everything will pop up, and it's just an easy way for you to find what you need, or the office that you need quickly. So when your student attends virtual orientation, they'll be registering for classes. We're actually not going to be sending you a bill until August 3rd. The 1st is actually a Saturday, so we don't bill on Saturdays. We'll be sending an e-bill on August 3rd. It will be sent to the students, your student's email account. They can forward the email. A lot of students don't check the email. They should certainly make it a habit to, but they can forward to their personal email just to make sure that they get all these e-bills. And so we typically bill the very first day or so of the month, and the due date is always the 1st of the following month. And we will send you e-bills monthly for any unpaid balances. So how to pay, a few different options. We do accept cash. Once campus is back open, you can pay with cash. You would have to just bring that to the Bursar's office. We're located in the campus center building on the 4th floor. You can pay by credit card or by electronic check, and that's done on the Wiser on the Student Center page. There is a fee for a credit card or a debit card. I believe it's 2.5 for domestic and up to 4.25 for international. So if it's a debit card, you should certainly choose the second option, electronic check. You just enter your routing number, your checking account number, and there's no additional fee, just to save you a little money. You could pay by personal check or money order bank check, either by mailing it to us. Our address should be on the e-bill, but if not, it's certainly on the Bursar website. And then it can also be dropped off at the one stop within our office once we open up. You could pay by financial aid. Hopefully everyone's filed for financial aid at this point. If you have not, Katie will talk about that in a few minutes. And then we also offer the in-house payment plan. And this is actually something new this year. So even though we're not sending out the first e-bill until August 3rd, you should, by the last week in July, be able to log into your student's Wiser account and see what the charges will be for this semester. And once you do that, you can enroll in a payment plan. And if you do it by August 1st, you have the option of enrolling in a 5-month plan. If you want to wait, you can enroll by September 1st for the 4-month and then October 1st for the 3-month. But obviously, the later you wait, the higher your payment's going to be. There is a small enrollment fee, but it does allow you the flexibility of paying over the few months. And the other advantage is, I know you're just registering for the fall semester now, but come November, registration will open up for the spring semester. And if you have a financial hold, you're not going to be able to register. If you're on a payment plan, even though you haven't made your last payment, you would still be able to register for the spring semester. And that way you can get, first dibs at classes. So one of the few other things that we handle, one that's very important, is health insurance. State law, you have to be insured if you're enrolled in 9 credits or more. We understand most of our students have their own insurance, either through the job, through their parents. You have to waive it by October 1st, and it's done in your Wiser on your student center. This has to be done annually and has to be done by October 1st. We do send out probably 5 emails to the students' personal and the UMB, telling them you're being charged for insurance. You need to, waive your insurance by October 1st. This is the deadline. But on October 2nd, I'll be bombarded with students who forgot to waive, who didn't get a chance to waive and looking to waive. I have a very small window that I can still waive for them, but it's the health insurance is $2,700 for the next school year. So it's a lot of money if it's something that you don't need. For our students who do want our health insurance, like I said, it is $2,772. It's Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's a PPO plan. It's an awesome plan, and it covers you through the whole year. It starts August 1st and runs through July 31st of next year. So there is no lapse. It covers you throughout the summer. And if you did want to enroll in our health insurance, you just have to go on your Wiser to your student center and click on the confirm button, and that's how we enroll you. If you do nothing by October 1st, then by default we're going to end up enrolling you. Book vouchers. We understand that sometimes our students might need some assistance with purchasing or renting their books. So if your financial aid exceeds your charges and you have an excess amount, the student will receive an email, and the email will say you have up to X amount of dollars that you can use at the bookstore, and you can use this towards either purchasing or rental of the book voucher. With the book voucher, it is an optional program. You don't have to use it. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. You would just get the amount in your refund check. If you do want to use it, we just add that amount, to your bill, okay? Meal plans. So for the students that are living in the residence hall, you are required to be in a meal plan. It's about $5,700 this academic year, and that will be on your bill, okay? For the students who are commuting not in the residence hall, we have commuter plans. If you want to choose like the small plan, just for the convenience factor, you can certainly do that too and have that added to your bill. Okay. So excess funds, the first week of school is what we call add drop. You can add and drop classes without penalty. And after the first week, financial aid then goes in, they review your student account and they disperse the financial aid to us. So if your student has excess funds, we then start giving it to them. We expect the first round to be available on the 24th of September. We are encouraging students to enroll in direct deposit. It's much faster for the students to receive their funds. They should have it by the 24th. If they don't enroll in direct deposit, then the check would have to get mailed out on the 24th to whatever the mailing address is in Wiser, so it just delays it by a few more days, okay? You also have the option of adding parking passes to your student account. So for the students who drive to campus, once we're able to drive back on campus, you would just go to the parking office and you would request the parking pass that you desire, and it gets added to your bill. The advantage to having a parking pass is that you can come and go. If you were to come and go, well, first of all, it's less expensive, most importantly. Second, if you just pay a day-to-day rate and you had to leave campus and you had to come back and repark, you'd be paying twice out of pocket, whereas the parking pass is less expensive. And the parking pass also lets you enter a garage if the garage is closed. If you have a parking pass, it lets you in. So little trick. So once again, please pay attention to the due dates on the student bills. If you don't have a payment plan in place, if you don't have financial aid, if you haven't paid in full, you may be assessed a late fee. And we may also put a hold on your account, and the hold will not allow you to register in November, and you also will not be available to view your grades at the end of the semester. Okay, so once again, the on-campus housing, it's not going to be on your bill. The meal plan is, but the on-campus housing is not. So you will have a separate bill for that, a separate portal where you can pay and also enroll in a payment plan. We talked about excess checks, excess funds. When you get your funds, you can use that to pay housing also, depending if you have enough, okay? I know this is a little bit different, certainly our first time doing it virtually, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And at the very end of the presentation, my information will be up on the screen. Feel free to email me with any questions. If you have a general question, we do have FAQ on the Bursar website, so it would be umb.edu/Bursar. Thank you.
Thanks, Cheryl. So I am Katie Holland, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about financial aid and getting the process, getting things all firmed up for the September, so you're all set. First of all, the financial aid office and the Bursar's office are both located up on the 4th floor in the campus center. We are fully operational remotely. All of the services that we offer, we are able to provide you remotely, so please be sure to be reaching out to us. We also want to talk to you about the One Stop, and the One Stop also is fully operational remotely. When we are on campus, it's located on the upper level of the campus center, and it's a place where you can get all kinds of information, and I'll give you more contact information about the One Stop in a minute. So it's very important to know too that it's not too late to apply for financial aid for September, and we encourage you to apply if you haven't already done so. And for help with the application process, you can contact the One Stop. Yep. So what is the One Stop? The One Stop is our student services center, and it's staffed with professionals who are able to provide students with taking care of all kinds of things involving financial aid, the registrar. I'm being told my audio is going in and out. I apologize for that. I don't have anything covering the microphone, so is that any better, Katie?
Keep talking, I'll let you know.
Thank you. I apologize. So you can get the One Stop is a place where you can get questions answered about financial aid, registrar, and student billing. So they have a live chat that's on during the business hours during the day, where you're able to go right in. You click on that little chat now icon and you can speak, have a chat with a representative. You can schedule a Zoom appointment with one of the staff members, and you can get questions answered via email, and that's the One Stop email address. And the One Stop really should be your first stop for those kind of questions, and they're very well prepared and have all certainly are doing a great job remotely staying connected with everybody and offering answers for any of your questions. So some of the things financial aid wise that are important and that can sometimes delay things a little bit are the main one is verification, and verification is critical. We have awarded, some students have been awarded, basically it's an estimated award because they were selected for verification by the federal processor. So the federal, what has to happen is that we need to complete verification in order to finalize your award. The students should have been notified. We've notified, I believe we've sent at least 2 messages, and in addition to any of the email, we call them missing information notifications that we send periodically every 3 weeks or so if there's still documentation missing. So please check in with your student if they have not already spoken to you about the need to complete verification. So when Shirley touched on the student services page in Wiser, if there are things listed on the student's to-do list, then they want to be in contact with us to find out, if what is required, what's needed to be done in order to complete all the documentation. The John and Abigail Adams tuition credit, many of your students may be eligible for this. This is the tuition credit that's connected to the MCAS scores. And so the students would have been notified. Usually it's late in the fall of their senior year, and they have an eligibility letter, and they want to be sending that letter in. And you can send it via email to Joyce. Joyce Ray is on the financial aid staff, a member of our financial aid staff, and she manages the Adams tuition credit. What happens is that credit will appear on the student account, the student's bill, and they'll get that credit, and you'll see it when you're trying to determine how much you actually owe. So it's great to get that in as soon as you can. Student loans. So the student loans, this is really the only, other than you're going to send in your Adams letter, the student loans require, if the student, you are going to make these decisions as a family, are going to accept their loans, they do have to actively do something. Where the grant funds are, there's an assumption that you are going to be accepting the grants, the free money. So when after around the 1st of July, you want to be checking the to-do list to see every student, in order to get those loans dispersed to their student account as a payment, must complete a master promissory note and do entrance counseling. And the entrance counseling can take, it'll take probably a half an hour. We ask that parents not do the entrance counseling for the student. As difficult as that is, this is really and truly often the first legally binding contract that a student is getting into. They're borrowing money from the federal government. And this entrance counseling, it's certainly with them, do it, with them if you want to, or have them do it. What it does is it talks to them about what are their rights and their responsibilities as a borrower. And it's quite informative. It is not meant to trip anybody up. You can't really flunk it. They let, you can go back and if you got a question incorrect, go back and answer it correctly. It's just to try to make students aware of what it is that they're doing when they're borrowing. So it's really critical, and we really do ask, and believe me, as the parent of, now they've since graduated, but we get it. Shirley and I both understand. You want to get things done, and you want to get them off the checklist, but it's truly, it's in their best interest, because so often students will come to us and say, well, I don't know, my mother did it, or I don't know, my father did it, or whatever. And they really need to be engaged in this financial part of this college experience. So the next thing about the loans is the part of the federal student loan program is the PLUS loan. And this is parent loans for undergraduate students. And what this is when if you need to borrow additional funds to meet your financial obligations for the student, a parent can borrow a loan. And these loans are for the parent. It's not the first loans. Those are the students' loans if they're on their part of their financial aid award, and you're not responsible for the payment of them. You are not connected to them. The PLUS loan is the parents are borrowing. And that is, like I said, to fill a gap if there's a gap in your funding availability. The PLUS loan, you apply online, and that is going to open up on our website on June 28th. So that isn't available yet, but it will be available on the 28th. And for the parents, there is no entrance counseling involved, but there is a master promissory note. You will have to fill out a master promissory note. And I do want to also just mention here, because we're talking about a lot of things that aren't going to happen until later on in the summer. We will be on social media doing reminders throughout the summer and talking to people. Once those requirements for the master promissory note and the entrance counseling are actually posted to the students' to-do list, there'll be reminders sent out at that point. So we realize there's a lot of information coming your way right now, and we know that, but we are going to be in touch with you throughout the summer. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable being in touch with us as well if you have questions. So student employment, we do hope to have opportunities for student employment remotely, and certainly once we get back onto campus, we're going to, get the program up and back to where it was when we left off. Jobs are advertised online via Handshake. Federal work study is part of the financial aid package, and it's based on your federal eligibility, the student's federal eligibility, and students can work up to 40 hours a week as long as it's not interfering with their class schedule. They can't have a conflict with their class schedule. And usually 10 to 20 hours a week is recommended. And basically the work study program and the way that the student gets paid every 2 weeks as part, just like they would any other job. It's critical to know that when you're figuring out your bill, work study funds does not get subtracted from the bill. The student is earning it, and they get every other week they get a paycheck. We also have institutionally funded student employment, and that's based on so that it's not they're not being paid through federal funds. It's institutional funding, and pretty much the same. It works the same way. They can work as much as 40 hours a week as long as it doesn't interfere with their classes. For international students, it's based on department funding, and students can work up to 40 hours during the semester, and I'm sorry, up to 20 hours during the semester, and up to 40 hours a week during any breaks. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to have some remote opportunities for students so that they can take advantage of their student employment funding. Next. So I just want to touch on a couple of important points. Satisfactory academic progress. And the reason I touch on this at orientation is because it can impact a student's eligibility in the future. Their grades matter. Grades matter. So right now everybody's in great shape. They have no calculation, but we are required by federal law to monitor satisfactory academic progress. The reason the students are here is that they are supposed to be progressing academically towards graduation. And so we have to monitor grade point average, the completion rate, how many classes did the student attempt and how many did they successfully complete. And also there is a limit, it's called a maximum time frame, and at which point the student has to have a degree by a certain number of credits in order to maintain their eligibility for financial aid. So right now, everybody's good, but they do need to understand that satisfactory academic progress is a thing, and it does impact your financial aid eligibility. It's really important to remember that you need to renew your FAFSA every year. Now, here we are, we haven't even started classes, you know, we're not even back in September, but the FAFSA becomes available for the following academic year, October 1st. So it's not that far away, and we want to be very, very sure that everybody renews their FAFSA in time to be awarded, to maximize their financial aid eligibility. We mentioned the to-do list, and I feel like I'm repeating it several times, but it is critical. The expectation is that the students are checking their to-do list, and they are reading their UMass Boston email account. They're opening it and reading their emails, because that is how we communicate with students. A couple of others, you want to be visiting our website. We work really hard to make sure we keep the information up to date and any kind of changes, and as well as finding a financial aid counselor's contact information. So every student has a financial aid counselor, and their contact information is available there, and they're also available for Zoom meetings. We can schedule Zoom meetings. We do like that we do ask that you make the one stop your first stop. You can start there, and very often, you know, we work so closely, the Bursar's office and the registrar's office and financial aid, with the one stops that they may say, you know, we may be we're sending someone your way, you know, up to the counselors, but that is the place to start. And don't wait to reach out to us. That's the most important thing, I think, especially given, you know, all the challenges. This has certainly been a challenging time, and no more so, I mean, for the seniors in high school, so we understand that people are anxious, and we are here, and we're here to help you. And, you know, we encourage you to reach out to us as early as possible to make sure that September goes smoothly. So, as promised, here's Shirley's information. That's the Bursar's office contact information, and also her direct phone and email if you want to contact her. And then this is my direct line, this phone number, and my email, the FinAid account, and the main line for financial aid. And then that is also our website page if you need to get information from there, if you're interested in information. So I think now we are going to have some time for questions. We're happy to, Shirley and I are happy to answer any questions, or anybody else who wants to chime in.
So thank you both for your presentation. We had a lot of questions in the Q&A throughout the presentation, so I was just wondering if I could read those off to you, and if you would mind answering them live.
Sure.
Okay, so we got a lot of questions about basically financial aid, and how you would know when you would have an excess amount of financial aid that could be applied to housing, or do you need to pay housing up front?
So those are great questions. So once the bills are calculated, and Cheryl, jump in if I, you know, please.
Yep.
We're going to be calculating the bills in late July. Accurate? Yep. Okay, good.
Yep.
And
you should be able to see it on Wiser by late July.
See it on Wiser by late July, and then you'll get the bill. Then the student will be billed.
Right.
The financial aid will show up on that bill as well. So you'll see if it's a negative amount, it's overpaid, right? So you're going to review the bill. You'll see if you owe an amount, or if there's an excess. The only way that that's going to happen in September, where the excess will actually be an excess, is if the master promissory note and the entrance counseling is done. When we work really closely with parents, usually during the month of July, about trying to figure out how much is actually needed. So depending on what room is chosen through housing, what decisions are made about housing, then parents or the students, if they're going to have to get alternative loans or use the Federal Plus loan, we work with the families we'll work with all of you to figure out exactly what you need. We also are in contact with housing. So we work with housing to let them know who has done what they need to do financial aid wise in order to take care of the expense for the housing. So you need to get that taken care. You want to get that taken care of. And then housing has their own billing system, or their own way of billing as well.
Thank you. And I'm not sure if Shirley, you would be able to answer this question, but do you know if tuition will be decreased if classes are remote in the fall and students will not be given the full services?
Happy to take that, Shirley.
Yeah, John can answer that.
Sure. So no, unfortunately, we are not able to reduce the cost of tuition, and there's many reasons for that. Everyone's still getting paid, faculty is still getting paid, tutors are still available, all the services are available to students. And in some ways, we're actually investing more in some of the technology to make sure that both our students have what they need to be able to be successful, to provide additional support for both faculty and being able to teach remotely, for students to be able to navigate remote learning successfully. So there's a lot of investments on that side that are being done. What I will say is the other unfortunate news, typically in the past, tuition and fees, especially tuition, goes up every year. Generally between, I've been at this for a while, and so have Katie and Shirley, but somewhere between 1, 2, 3, 4% typically each year. We have decided to make a commitment this year to not increase tuition. Originally it was slated to increase by 2.5%. And so we have decided not to. And that is one of the ways that we're trying to hold the line as much as we can, both in light of remote, but really more so, no one wants tuition fees ever to go up. And based on, there's a lot of financial hardship out there that COVID has caused. And so we're doing the best we can to try to keep those costs as minimal as possible. There is, Katie and Shirley are two of our all-stars, and they do a great job, but their teams, and one of the things I'm most proud of at UMass Boston is everyone's really committed to trying to, as much as possible, make higher education and education at UMass Boston affordable. And there will be additional opportunities throughout the fall and spring semester, thanks to some federal funds, to potentially apply for additional aid. And so we encourage both the student and parents to keep an eye out for that. And there's always additional merit scholarships and things as the student progresses and does well. Grades matter. I'll echo what Katie said. And so they'll certainly, we'll be continuing to try to pump out as much information and opportunities to make the college education affordable.
Thank you. We have another question regarding how to accept loans and if there is a deadline or to accept loans. I know that you mentioned in your presentation the promissory notes that go with student loans, but could you elaborate a little bit more on deadlines and the process?
Sure. So there aren't necessarily deadlines, but if you are trying to calculate what your bill is going to be, the best thing you can do is get everything in line, right? So those loans will not become payments until the master promissory note and the entrance counseling is done. So that's essentially your acceptance of them, the student's acceptance of those loans. And again, there really isn't a deadline, but it's in your best interest to get those things taken care of before school starts. I mean, I would think that, once they're on the to-do list, you'd want to be taking care of it by mid-August to make sure that it's done. The sooner the better.
Can I just jump in and add though, like if you don't, do the entrance counseling master promissory and you want the loans to pay your student bill, you may pay a fee. So.
Shirley, would you mind repeating that? You cut out a little bit at the end.
Sure. So if you're planning on using the loans to cover your student bill, and if you wait to do the master promissory and the entrance counseling, and you wait until November or December, you may be charged a late fee. So it's, it just doesn't make sense. If you're planning on taking the loans, just do it sooner rather than later.
Thank you. And could you elaborate a little bit more on the student bills and the payment plans that are offered?
Okay, so once again, we should be sending out e-bills on August 3rd. And you'll be able to see on the student account, if there's a balance due, you can roll in a payment plan. Payment plans are done through the WISER, the Student Center. If you enroll by August 1st, you can do a 5-month payment plan. If you wait to enroll September 1st, it is a 4-month payment plan. And then they even offer a 3-month. But like I said earlier, the longer you wait, the higher your payment's going to be. Okay. One thing I did forget to mention earlier was about health insurance, about waiving the health insurance. You're not going to be able to waive it until you actually see it on your account. So probably late July, that last week in July, when you're able to log in your WISER and see it, or if you want to wait until August 1st, August 3rd, when you get your bill, you'll be able to waive it. You can't, if you were to go on WISER now, you're not going to be able to waive it because you can't waive something that doesn't exist yet. Sorry about that.
Thank you. And Katie, would you mind talking a little bit more about the Abigail Adams and what it's worth at UMass Boston?
Sure. So the Adams Scholarship is worth $1,714 a year, so $857 a semester. And as soon as the letter, we get the letter and the bills are calculated, we will post that tuition credit. And you'll see it as the Adams tuition credit on the bill.
Thank you. And then there were a few questions about what loans could be applied to. So student loans, Parent Plus loans, or private loans, can those all be applied to both your semester bill along with your housing bill and your meal plan?
Yes,
Katie,
sure.
you want to take that?
I couldn't tell if you were going to touch it. Yes, how it works is any of those loans, any financial aid or loans first goes through the student account. And so it's going to take care of your university bill first. So the tuition and the meal plan, or if the student is getting a meal plan, and any other incidentals that you choose to put on your bill, like Shirley talked about, parking passes or those kind of things. So everything's going to funnel through the student account. Once that's satisfied, whatever is remaining will be this excess. And Shirley, we talk about the plus loan. If you don't want the plus loan to go to the student, which sometimes we don't want it to because it goes to the student and then the bill does, the student doesn't take it to housing and pay the bill. That's fine. You've got to notify the Bursar's office. If it's plus loan funds that's creating the excess, then the refund can be sent to the parent and go to the parent instead of the student. Otherwise, it's going to go either through check or direct deposit to the student, and then the student is responsible for making the payment for even if they're paying rent or whatever it is that they're doing. The student is then able to take that excess and use it towards expenses.
Thank you. And one more question for you, Katie. Could you discuss the appeal process that you mentioned for financial aid?
Sure. So we realize that when you are filing your FAFSA or filed your FAFSA for this September, it asked you for information about your 2018 tax your income information from 2018. In a lot of cases, that is no longer the situation, right? We've experienced loss of income, whatever it may be. So if you've had a significant, if your income or has changed significantly, we do have an appeals process. It's called a special circumstances appeal. And you can contact your student's financial aid counselor. The information, like I said, is on our website, the contact information. And they will get the process moving for you. Where you can appeal. It is a process. It is a process, and we are going to require that there's documentation to back some things up. But we will reevaluate anyone who appeals, and anyone who we can, we're going to approve. We realize that people are having difficulty, and we are here to help you. And the only way that we know it is if you let us know, because we're going to look at your FAFSA and that's the information we have. So without you coming forward or asking the questions, we wouldn't know that you were needing the appeal and you need to be reevaluated. So please do, if you feel you may have a circumstance that qualifies for that.
One final question is if you could discuss what happens with excess funds once both your tuition bill and your housing bill has been paid.
So the excess, any excess, it goes directly to the student. So say there's a, you know, a $2,000 excess or a $2,500 excess, it's going to be direct deposited. What happens to it then? Those are the student's funds. So it's up to the student. They can be used for books. It can be used for any technically educational expenses, but that might mean, you know, when we're back on campus, a T-Pass, or it might mean, you know, gas in your car, or whatever. It's not appropriate to take a vacation with your excess funds, but you know, if you are using it towards your living expenses, it's perfectly appropriate. And so the excess checks or the refunds are usually once a semester, unless something happens and say you realize that you're going to need a little bit more money so that you'll increase a parent loan, for example, in November. There might be a second check that then, you know, a second refund that the students will use to pay for the housing or whatever. But it's up to, once that excess is released or direct deposited, it's up to the student to use the funds appropriately. Does that, I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think that does. And we just got one other question. I'm sorry to
That's okay.
ask
I'm in no hurry. I don't know.
But for college funds, how would they go about using a college fund to pay UMass Boston's tuition?
So it, depending on who is the holder of the fund, that they want to be in contact, and they're going to ask, it's really they initiate, you parents would initiate the transfer of the funds to the university, depending, based on what the costs are, how much you have in it. You make the request, and it's fairly, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on the like a 529 plan or those kind of funds, but my understanding, and Shirley, jump in if you have anything to add to it, is that that's how you contact the financial institution where the holder of the funds, and you make a request for a withdrawal. Essentially, it's a withdrawal or a transfer request, and you provide them with the information, and they send it along. Cheryl?
Sometimes we get letters from the different organizations, you know, requesting proof of enrollment or, you know, proof of billing. And once we send it out to them, then they send the funds to us.
But the family would initiate the withdrawal.
The family has to initiate, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you both for answering our questions, and thank you, John, as well. We did notice that there are some questions that we did not answer that were asked in the Q&A. If your question is related to housing, anything related to, will a student need to live at home, if they don't have an option for the res halls, how many rooms will there be in the res halls, and how will housing be decided, you are more than welcome to contact our housing office. We will post their information in the chat, but there will also be a friends and family webinar on June 30th at 7 p.m. where we will have representatives from both off-campus housing and on-campus housing who will be able to talk to you all about their plans for the fall and answer any questions you may have. For questions regarding health insurance, immunizations, there is a YouTube video from our presentation last Tuesday. We will post that link in the chat, which was a presentation from the Dean of Students, Health Services, and Public Safety. But you can also contact our Office of University Health Services, who would be happy to answer any of those questions. And then, of course, you can always visit our website. You can email our office at orientation@umb.edu, and you can email Katie and Shirley with any specific questions regarding your student's financial aid. And any questions about payment plans can also be emailed to the Bursar's office. They have some information on their website as well. But for the last 3 minutes, are there any questions about the student experience for our OLs? We did just receive a question about the June 30th session. If you go onto our website, which is umb.edu/orientation, we will put it in the chat as well. There will be a link to register for the 2 remaining Zoom webinars. Next week's is academic support, where you'll be hearing from our Office of Academic Support and our Advising Center on how they can best support your students. And then June 30th is on and off campus housing. Could one of our OLs who commutes to campus talk about the parking pass and the MBTA passes and the price and how to get them and when they become available for when we are in person?
For me, I could talk about MBTA because I don't drive officially yet. But for me personally, with my MBTA experience, more I didn't specifically use the semester pass only because sometimes I would either get a ride or sometimes with the train and stuff like that. Like my journey like changed over time. So it's like however your transportation is from campus to home, it's going to differ. So for me, it's only 2 stops on the train to get to school because after you get to JFK, there's a shuttle that takes you to school. So I didn't really need quote unquote a lot of money, like I didn't have to reload my card so frequently only because I only have to take the train and then that's it. That's all I have to pay for. So like maybe someone can talk about if they take the commuter rail or if they have to take the bus, the train, and all this other stuff. Maybe they can talk about it. But for me personally, I only had to use the train. So therefore it was easier for me to go a few more months without having to reload my card so much. But we do have semester passes on campus where you pay one amount for your semester pass, and you don't have to like worry about trying to pay every 2 weeks. So it really depends on what is better for you and what is better for either your children or just your child in general. What is easier for them.
Thank you, Tashani, for sharing that experience. Katie, would you mind answering another question and reviewing the book vouchers again?
Sure. So if the student has access, and this is before the refund process happens, if they request a bookstore voucher, it's part of the excess funds. So, and it's a way of getting the books ahead of the refund. If you're going to use your refund, you're essentially borrowing from your own excess using the book voucher, the bookstore voucher. And it's through the Bursar's office. And Shirley, you can talk about availability and those kind of things, the dates and everything when people can get them. And you use them there. You can use them online and for ordering through Wallet. Shirley, you're muted.
There you go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So with the book vouchers, if you're eligible for a book voucher, the student is actually sent an email to let them know that they have availability to this voucher. then they can either order their books online, or they can rent their books online on the Follett website. But once again, it is an optional program. You don't have to use it. You know, if you find your book someplace else, you know, great. We only bill you for what you use. It's the book voucher is good for anything in the bookstore, with the exception of gift cards. So if you needed, you know, sometimes even if you need a laptop or a tablet, you can probably order it through the Follett site. And whatever you don't use, if you decide not to use it, then you would just get that amount in your excess check, your refund.
Thank you. Sorry, I was muted again. I do notice it is around 8:05, so I don't want to keep you all too long. If we did not answer your question, please feel free to contact the direct offices. If you would like any contact information, please feel free to email us or put it in the Q&A, and before you leave, our OLs can direct you to the correct office. But thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope that you will be able to join us next week for academic support. But until then, we hope you all stay safe and have a great weekend. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you for joining us.